An auto driver who would, let's say, get billed 1,000 rupees a day via Uber would end up paying $250 to Uber as a commission. Now Uber gets charged a flat fee of 25 rupees. So it definitely hurts Uber. So better to treat India as a R&D hub, wherein you try these newer, innovative pricing models.
The government is trying to say that great, you showed us the way. Now let's figure out a zero marginal cost of getting 200 million people on this network. इंडिया में प्रॉफिट पूल बनानी है तुम्हारा, तो क्या ही वो इनोवेशन में घुसेगा फिर? All venture-backed companies that have gone IPO holding the entire index up.
A new product called Credit Cash Plus, which is a secured lending product. They've launched it at 8.99%.
It's the most beautiful loan that the youth likes. कि भाई कोई सवाल नहीं, क्योंकि बैंक में जाओगे ना 4 सवाल पूछते हैं वो. The bank has a net interest margin of 3.5-4%, and this is after NPAs, accounting provisioning for NPAs. How is Cred affording to give a loan at 9%? Beautiful, na? Change the game. Card चाहिए नहीं, बस पैसा दे.
The other one I read was The Money Trap by Alok Sharma. Finally finished it. क्या किताब है यार, क्या किताब है यार. Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Asymmetric. First of all, huge thank you for tuning in to our episode last week with Sajit. It's gotten our highest views till date, which makes Revant, Chirag and I very, very happy and enthusiastic about trying to beat that number with our episode today. We have some really interesting topics for you. The first one is on Uber and their latest announcement in India of moving into the subscription business model and its implications. They've kind of gone down the Nammayatri way, and Chirag has a fantastic dissection of what that means from an India and a global standpoint. The second topic is on Cred Cash Plus, which is their now personal loan product, which is taking a lean against mutual funds and at a 9% interest and creating ability for Indian customers to kind of borrow without breaking their mutual fund and what that means as well. In addition to that, we have introduced a new segment where we discuss the books we are reading, the articles we are reading, the people we are following. So hopefully you enjoy that. In addition, the amazing engineering team at GoQuick has created an asymmetric index, which is basically all venture-backed companies that have gone public. And Chirag is also going to take us through that. It's a very interesting private to public kind of index, which shows how companies that raise venture capital and then kind of become public and are owned by retail investors, their movement. It's still kind of, the time period is still smaller, but gives a good indication of what the future could look like from an IPO standpoint for new age companies. So that's really exciting as well. It's a power packed episode. And Revant and I were in Dubai this week, so a lot of our experiences from the cricket match and the tourism in Dubai will be sprinkled through this episode as well. So hope you enjoy and keep tuned in. And of course, we love reading your comments. Revant, I think, has taken it upon himself to respond to all of them personally as well. So do write in with criticism, feedback, observation, and most of all the cheerleading that you guys do. So thanks a lot and hope you enjoy this episode.
Let's start. I think we have one very interesting topic wherein Uber has decided to go back to the flat fee subscription model for autos. This has been done for the first time in any country, globally. This kind of innovation, which takes me to one of the statement which, Uber CEO made when he came to India. So the Indian customer is so demanding and does not want to pay. This is the toughest market to succeed in. But if we succeed here, that sets the standard for us to succeed in so many markets. So he himself said this, I think, when he was on the last trip to India, wherein clearly it's a demanding market. From an overall global impact point of view, India is only 1% of Uber's global revenue. Right? I think we'll get there. But before that, I think let's look at some of the problems which Nammayatri aimed to solve when it came a year or almost 15 months back. And it's built on ONDC framework, which is a DPI, Digital Public Infrastructure of India. Problems which Nammayatri is aiming to solve, which is a digital public infrastructure in India, is that, number one problem of high commissions, 20-30%, which leads to lower driver earnings, higher fares, it impacts the consumers. There is delayed digital payouts, so there are cash flows issues which emerge. Uber makes the payment in anywhere between 7 to 14 to 15 days. There is this issue of driver cancellations. Drivers, we've all faced this. That because of these lower driver earnings, this results in cancellation. Drivers end up choosing which route they want to take, which the routes they don't want to take, resulting in higher wait times. And then surge pricing and unpredictable fares, which is again, leads to earning uncertainty as well as high fares at peak hours. So it was an attempt, to solve for this all these issues. Namayatri, which is a product by JustPay, took a stab at it, and they released this interesting model of flat 25 rupees per day for unlimited rides on autos, which saw massive traction when it came to autos. It started in Bangalore and then of course has been rolled out over countries. For consumers, it meant that lower fares, no hidden charges, and direct driver payment. So they don't hold the payment; the payment directly goes to the driver. You can make the payment directly to the driver on their UPI app. Some of the features which have been released, which promote no middlemen, transparent pricing, direct payments, and then they have done gamification. I think what they have done interestingly is they have actually mimicked the offline behavior, what happens in our country, wherein go back like 10-15 years, we would stop an auto, we would negotiate. Now all those features are there on the Namayatri app, which make it quite interesting. And this is a comparison of now how the two models compare, which is the commission versus subscription model. So from a driver earnings point of view, earlier you would pay 20 to 30% commission per ride. Example being, Uber globally now earns 22% take rate as a commission, whereas on new model you pay like a flat fee of $25 and you end up keeping 100% of fares. From a platform revenue, you would earn, let's say Uber would earn a percentage of every ride, whereas this becomes fixed. Ride fares are higher in old model, at least it's passed on to the consumer. In the newer one, it's lower. Driver payment times are direct in the new model. In the subscription model, you make a direct payment, so there are no cash flows issues. It's instant. Revenue predictability in an old model, I would argue that in both the cases, it's a little bit variable. For the companies, for the underlying companies in the old model, it's variable. In the new model, it's fixed. It does, Namayatri would continue to charge subscription charge even if you are not taking your auto out for rides. From a regulatory risk, I think this got covered that GST get applied on platform C. There is no GST because we are making a direct payment to the end one. An auto driver who would, let's say, get billed 1,000 rupees a day via Uber would end up paying $250 to Uber as a commission. Now Uber gets charged a flat fee of 25 rupees or between 20 to 40 rupees, which is almost 90% lesser or 10% of what they were earlier getting. So it definitely hurts Uber. Just to give some context of, why in the larger scheme of things, it does not matter for Uber and why, the statement made by Dara is reflective of both India being a good R&D station rather than being a good revenue station. Uber India FY23 revenue was $300 million. Uber global revenue was $37.3 billion. Right, so that's 1% of Uber revenue. Uber global profit is $1.9 billion and India was not profitable. India is still minus 10% loss. So around $36.5 million. Just from a Uber strategy point of view, Uber has become quite conscious that, they want to focus on premium rides in India. Hence their focus is on Uber Black, Uber X, some of those premium rides. And they have also started to ditch the, driver owned model, driver co-owned models. And they've also started to go to fleet owned models. I think what is interesting in this overall story for me was that the way at least I have seen evolution of these new business models in India is that some innovation happens in India, in US, and India does not do anything about it. Then few years later, there will be an exact copy model which will come to India. So whether you take an Amazon, Flipkart example, whether you take a Uber, Ola example, it's similar. And then there will be a, 5-6 years later, there will be a rapid, very deep India PMS story which will emerge. Like Rapido emerged here, Namayatri has emerged there. Flipkart, by the way, one can say that their deep PMF came by a COD. And then Meesho also, by the way, in some sense has kind of taken it ahead in terms of, let's say, at least, monthly active users are pretty much there. So it's very, very interesting, how these models emerge. How global companies end up finally deciding that the race to getting more users etc is over and now let's focus only on these premium India one, users only. But that's the big news which caught my eye this week.
Very detailed explanation, Chirag. एक बात बताओ, do you know this 2600 crore का जो revenue है Uber India का, what it will mean for them if they move to a subscription model across the board?
Yeah, my sense is autos as a total of this revenue wouldn't be like more than 10-15% at max. Right, so it shouldn't make a lot of that. That 10% will become 1%. So, but I think from a global scheme of things, as I said, it doesn't move the needle either ways. So better to treat India as the R&D hub, wherein you try these newer, innovative pricing models.
They've tried with a lot of things. Uber is, but it's amazing, right? The business model kind of goes back to what it started with, which is premium, right? That was the initial Travis Kalanick.
Premium fleet owners. Exactly comes back to the same point.
Correct. And that's what Meru was for the longest time, right? It's fleet-owned vehicles, and it became big. I also feel like some of these companies raised so much capital that I think the market became artificial. The demand supply was artificial because of like drop prices, and then once you couldn't drop prices anymore, or once you became like the tap turned off, then the market had to rediscover itself at a higher level, and then you went into these kind of situations. While frankly, I think you're right. It takes 5-6 years for the PMF story to play itself out.
I think one interesting thing which I thought is a little bit of a counter in our country is the security safety angle. Uber did a lot of work on building trust safety specifically in India. What happens to that, let's say on a Namayatri, which is a pure tech enabler? They are not responsible for the ride as such. I remember Uber building those features wherein, if you are stationary at the same point for 5 minutes, a notification comes in that, are you okay? All of that stuff. I think all of that is possibly, at least the innovation stops there.
No, but on fleet-owned, it's a lot higher. Right? If your own fleets and premium rides, that's where they will actually be able to execute it a lot better.
No, agree, Shantanu. I think that's still you are taking the ownership of the ride. Whereas in a Namayatri, where you're charging a subscription fee, you don't care about the ride. Right? Absolutely. You're a true tech enabler, or the way at least I put it, Kinstack. That's one angle.
That is true.
But I think thoda sa India context hai. While you were describing this, Chirag, at least my mind went to what we discussed 2-3 episodes back, right? That where does venture capital dollar flow? And we had discussed this PMF framework that we used to explain different kinds of markets, which is there's a hard fact market where there's a new behavior and a hair on fire market. So all venture dollar and venture capital alpha has been created in the hard fact markets where there was a new habit created. Taxis were the old habit. Uber by design was a new habit. And what's interesting is Uber has, till it broke a profit, right, which is in 2023, it had cumulatively lost $34 billion in loss. $34 billion, okay? And
how much did they raise, by the way, the entire lifetime?
About 40 odd billion.
Wow.
Okay. $34 billion lost, and now they are profitable. And now they have to obviously show, see what was the design of the hard fact market, कि आपको बहुत time लगेगा habit change करने, बहुत पैसा लगेगा. But you have to be at it so that at the end of 10 to 15 years, you have created that new habit, and by design, these are winner-take-all markets. So when you are the winner at the end of it, there is so much disproportionate profit that all the venture dollar that went in would start reaping the reward later in life, right? So that compounding takes care. Now, what is interesting is Airbnb and Uber, for example, are still by design showing that behavior. Where Uber actually last year did a $10 billion of net profit. So they will recoup this $34 billion loss in the next 2 years only, right? Because it is the standout winner. Before the next new habit comes in, you have to make massive or be ready for the disruption. Now, the disruption they're facing in the US is potentially a self-driving Tesla, right? They have to protect themselves because if Tesla gets into taxis, which it is, they have to think about the fact that the marginal cost of driving the Uber comes down to zero because EV is cheaper. B, driver is not needed. So the taxi cost will come down disproportionately. That's the next disruption that's going to happen, the next habit change that will happen. And that's why they are partnering. They were they were very close to doing a deal with Tesla, but I think now they have a deal with Waymo, if I understand correctly, where I think Uber is going to partner with Waymo or with the GM owned EV, some car company where they will deploy an entire fleet, where the future of Uber also they are saying will be all driverless. They have to do it, right? So, but you have to keep making money while happening this. Now, think about the Indian situation. कि तुमने आज तक profit नहीं बनाया, तुम लड़ रहे हो. You were in a fight with Ola. This is important, more important for Ola, right? Because Ola Cabs ideally also wants to go public at some point of time. And all the venture dollars that went into Ola has to feel that, wow, we've created a new habit. And Ola was profitable for FY24. I think will remain profitable for FY25, but the revenue is degrowing. And part of it is this. Ola actually dependency on auto was a lot more than Uber. Now, Rapido is coming in from one side, which is the cheaper rides. At the other end, you have something like a Chauffeur or a Blue Smart, which is saying premium hum karenge. EV, right? EV or premium, where, you know, everybody starts sort of breaking up these markets. So India, in that sense, I was questioning whether it remains even harder for these hard fact kind of behaviors, because quintessentially the earnings, I mean, the TAM is smaller, it's more heterogeneous.
Yeah.
And while you're fighting the heterogeneous TAM, you have another competition in the form of government who's saying the marginal cost of everything should be zero. Like UPI is zero. ONDC...
Or the power should not go to marketplaces.
They want to be the biggest marketplace. ONDC wants to be the biggest e-commerce company.
Yeah.
Right? Namayatri built on top of ONDC is saying, boss, sab kuch, like, sasta karo India mein. Because India needs a more broader based adoption of digital infrastructure. And accessibility cannot happen when after 10 years, yes, the venture dollar came in. Ab tum profit ke chakkar mein price bada doge, which is what happened, right? If you see when after COVID, when things started coming back, the Uber Ola rates went so high because they had to break a profit. There is a reason Ola is profitable, or even a Swiggy or a Zomato is profitable, is because after burning $3-4 billion, they have to turn a profit. And when that happens, the behavior again becomes that very specific India 0.1 behavior.
Yeah.
And broader country hasn't really gotten the benefit. So the government is trying to say that, great, you showed us the way. Now let's figure out a zero marginal cost of getting 200 million people on this network, which is great for India. But really begs to question of how hard this market is for people who are trying to build it. And especially US companies will always treat this as a R&D center because there is no meaningful revenue, let alone meaningful profit.
I think we are putting a good word to it. Let's put it that they look at this as a DAO farm. R&D नहीं बोलते हैं, मतलब अब जी तो लोग बोल रहे हैं कि ये आपसे नहीं होगा, डीप सीक भी बना दिया चाइना ने, इंडिया क्या कर रहा है, so how are we R&D center?
Yeah.
I think you made an interesting point that, you know, when it takes the, you know, companies on this hard on fact market, you know, 7 to 10 years to get to a point where they will be profitable, maybe more. I think, you know, the cycle of innovation is such that, you know, these driverless cars are coming in. Now, that's the next set of innovation which Uber has to go through. By the way, just for stats, Waymo has surpassed Lyft now in San Francisco. So imagine, you know, it's no more like a case study which is like being built. It's real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're like almost a quarter of 25% market share. It's like quite real now. And now that's the next level of challenge which, you know, all these ride-hailing companies will have to go through. Usme fir se innovation lagega.
Just to, on that point, but Chirag, think about this, right? कि CY24 में, if I'm doing $10 billion of profit, then I have a right to say कि boss driverless मैं भी figure out करूँगा. या CY25 में दारा बोल रहा है 12 billion profit करूँगा मैं. तो 12 billion में से 2 billion निकाल के, like what is Google doing today? Saying मेरे पास इतना profit है, मैं AI infra में 50 billion डाल दूँगा. So you still have a profit pool that you've built over 10-15 years to say कि I will continue the cycle of innovation. इंडिया में profit pool बनानी है तुम्हारा, तो क्या ही वो innovation में घुसेगा फिर? So part of the thing, like, you know, it's fair to ask that why is India not innovating? The contra I will give you is that, boss, if you don't show me the ROI, there is no point of me innovating in India. No? Like, I think it's a nice, kind thing for Dara to say we are the R&D center. I don't think they care because they're like, boss, he's a paid CEO whose fiduciary responsibility is to increase shareholder value for Uber. He, like me, trying to fight this battle in making India profitable is not worth the effort. Yeah.
Absolutely not worth the effort. Stock exchange पे ताली भी नहीं बजी.
Correct. So he is like कि बॉस ये जो 10-12 बिलियन का प्रॉफिट मेरा यूएस से आ रहा है उसको 20 बिलियन कैसे करना है is a better focus of my time, which is why I will go and do dinner with Elon Musk saying बॉस टेस्ला नहीं क्या चलो वेमो के साथ करते हैं, कुछ तो करते हैं जिसके थ्रू आई कैन इंक्रीज दिस पूल ऑफ द आई लाइक यू कांट ब्लेम प्राइवेट कंपनीज टू से दैट यार आप इनोवेट नहीं कर रहे हो व्हेन यू डोंट अलाउ देम टू मेक ROI, राइट? सो it's a chicken and egg, to be honest.
But movement of capital away from private platforms into government layer is an interesting one. So, future of Zomato, do you think future of Zomato could be that the government says all restaurants manage 100% of the, they can manage the prices, get 100% of the fares. A logistics company will get created which will take whatever the logistics is, and then people like consumers
ONDC is already doing that, no?
will
It's
kind of
already live.
order.
ONDC already करता है, but लेकिन you can imagine that at best it will have at least at the moment it looks like it won't be like they will make a dent at Zomato and Swiggy in their existing business, but ऐसा नहीं है कि Zomato will go to like less than 10 and they will gain majority of the market share. Can coexist because this is also so true now. We have ourselves seen that we started using Swiggy in 2016 and from that point onwards it's become so sticky कि वो यार
नहीं.
even if you want
Uber में तो sticky था ना यार Swiggy.
नहीं, I'll tell you the difference.
so supply has to be disrupted.
No, I'll tell you the difference. The difference is the number of points of variability.
Correct, that's
Okay.
true. That is
The
true.
one point of variability is if I am a rickshaw driver, I'm getting demand from Ola or Uber. For me, it's an app. I get a ride. My behavior doesn't change. Right? My behavior is the same with you, Chirag, if you book through Uber or through Ola. Can it be a little better if I get more commission? Yes, but that's about it. Food delivery, mein, there are two levels. One is the restaurant. The second is the logistics partner. So there is a handoff point.
Yeah.
And the handoff point is where Swiggy and Zomato solved for this कि यार खाना आपको ब्रांड पता है, राइट? फर्स्ट लेवल ऑफ वेरिएबिलिटी. हर ब्रांड आउटलेट का अलग एक्सपीरियंस है. खाने में हर ऑर्डर अलग करता है. आज मेरा मूड खराब है, नमक ज्यादा गिर गया, खाना अलग हो जाएगा. दैट इज वन पॉइंट ऑफ वेरिएबिलिटी. सेकंड इज खाना बन गया है बट डिलीवरी बॉय टाइम पे नहीं आया. नाउ लेट्स से Shadowfax एज अ डिलीवरी गाय एंड Domino's as a restaurant and you are ordering on ONDC. खाना 1 घंटा लग गया. Who do you blame? ONDC like boss. मैं वो सिर्फ ऑर्डर टेकिंग प्लेटफॉर्म. What Swiggy and Zomato solved was a consistent experience every single time, whichever restaurant you ordered from, whichever delivery boy, they said, boss, आप चिंता मत करो, हम है करके, which is not possible or which is not needed technically to that layer, cab services.
But Revan, that's true for cab also. Na, yaar, weight is an important issue, right? We all three are men, but ask females how important it is for them for a driver. Safety is a very, very important concern, especially when you're traveling in the night. Who takes care of that now in a subscription model? वहाँ पे भी concern है यार सिर्फ.
Yeah, but वो एक
That's why it will not be market share move. वो हो जाता है कि that's why split की कुछ लोग उस पे होंगे, वो बोलेंगे यार we value this more safety security, तो मैं ये यूज करूंगा, दिन में ये यूज करूंगा, रात को वो यूज करूंगा.
Which is fair, but I'm saying that the need gap. So what you're taking as a safety as an example for women is, let's say, for 8 to 10 hours out of 24, right? And it is, let's say, women only. So it's a much smaller use case. Whereas for food delivery, people saying कि boss आधे घंटे में बढ़िया खाना चाहिए और I need one place. I don't want a blame game of, see, there's no handoff. I think the handoff thing is handshake जो होता है ना कि यार खाना किसने दिया, किसने उठाया, कब आया. These are points of failure every time, right? कि what Swiggy also solved for is कि यार exactly delivery boy तब भेजूंगा जब मैं 2 मिनट पहले मेरे को पता है, because Swiggy knows with data science कि यार 4 मिनट लगते हैं इसको, इस रेस्टोरेंट को. ONDC hasn't solved for all of that. There's a standard type कि मैं सबको 15 मिनट बाद असाइन करूंगा. फिर Shadowfax वाले सोच रहे हैं कि आज मेरे को क्या प्रायोरिटाइजेशन चाहिए. So there are too many different handoff layers where optimization is not solved on ONDC, where the net experience is very different on Swiggy Zomato versus ONDC. Whereas the difference in a daytime ride for a guy on Nammayatri versus an Ola Uber will not be that different.
रेवंत, मैं बता रहा हूँ Uber में भी सेम है. और मतलब at least the RTQ or the nuance is different. Example being, Uber ensures कि कहाँ पर let's say शाम को 6 बजे सप्लाई होनी चाहिए, so that wait times are lower. Right? वो जैसे DLF साइबर अब में भेजता है लोगों को. अभी लेकिन इन नम्मा यात्री, they are not incentivized to do this. They are not incentivized to reduce wait time.
I don't disagree, but उसमें होगा क्या कि क्या होता है Ola Uber पे तुम like I don't do this on Swiggy. I don't know how many people do it on Swiggy Zomato where they're open both the apps and say rate कहाँ कम है. अभी I think QuickCom में कर रहे हैं लोग because apparently the prices are different. But standard experience.
इंडिया अभी भी करता है. मतलब India one does. Sorry.
See, नहीं, बात बताओ, मतलब अगर if the market moves, most people know at what time to go where to get the right rides. ऑटो ड्राइवर नो कि इस टाइम पे स्टेशन जाना है, इस टाइम पे एयरपोर्ट्स पे फॉर एग्जांपल टैक्सी चल, वो इक्विलिब्रियम सेट हो जाता है.
यू सॉल्व्ड प्रॉब्लम एक्चुअली बहुत टाइम से सॉल्व्ड है. लाइक एवरीवन न्यू गोल्फ कोर्स पे DLF के बाहर शाम को रहने सवारी मिलेगी.
आज सुबह मेरे को 20 मिनट वेट टाइम मिला इसी बात पे.
No, but my view was largely to the point that I just feel that we already have a tough market, which beyond India one doesn't pay, is very heterogeneous. And I think all platforms which have largely where alpha has been created or venture dollar goes in, a lot of entrepreneurs feel like building. If their government becomes your competition by design, I just was thinking ki, is this going to really help attract a lot of FDI or venture dollars or entrepreneurs to build platforms like these? Like, it's okay to say that, yeah, we don't want Uber to succeed. Anyway, it's a foreign company. But I don't know if Ola does well as well, right?
Yeah.
Because Ola has to list as a company. Like, if we are so proud and nationalistic, then Ola should list as a company. Now, you may argue that nahi, founder is building too many things, or, you know, those are more personal views. But by design, the company is profitable. Now,
Ola Electric is Revant is a $3 billion market
More.
cap business.
4
crores है, 25,000
अच्छा,
crore के आसपास.
okay.
और अभी प्राइस काफी beaten down है.
Okay.
और Ola Cabs is roughly 2,000 crores in revenue.
Yeah.
So what would that list at? What would
Yeah, I think the problem that at least is in the grapevine is that the company and shareholders want a higher valuation than what the public market is ready to ascribe to. Because the revenue is also degrowing.
So what kind of multiples are there? Uber का क्या scene है, for example?
Yeah, again, Uber ka growing revenue hai. They are growing 20% year on year on a $40 billion revenue. So crazy, right?
That's
With
crazy.
a 20%, 25% EBIT margin now. I think inka EBIT margin theek hai, but the revenue is degrowing. And I think part of it is this, right? Ki you have to now go to subscription. Rapido is coming.
हेडविंड्स हैं सब जगह पे.
बहुत
Rapido
जगह से
fund हुआ
headwinds
है, new models, etc. etc. Yeah.
Interesting.
बहुत
Like
headwinds
how, for example, there are companies which figured out the Uber Ola thing, went deeper in certain use cases, and then just kind of built. Rapido Porter also very like this is a solid financial profile. Yaar. Solid financial. The idea is there, but executed in a small way. कि plan big, execute small वाला जो scene है ना बहुत ही like you're right, CT, you're right. What you said earlier was good. Like these models become big, and then there is an India PMO that happens with like in 5 years or 6 years. People figure out different kinds of models. The more I think about, the more I think you're right.
Would it be so bad if Ola went public at, let's say, $2 billion? I know the last round was at 4 billion or 4.5 billion. Like 2 billion is also technically in INR terms today 17,000 crore, which is roughly
8 times revenue.
8 times revenue, roughly I think about 30 times or 30, 40 times profit. Would it be so bad if Ola went? I don't know what is Rapido's revenue, because Rapido just raised that $1.2 billion, right? But I don't think they are that behind. Maybe they're at 50% the size of Ola now.
How? They charge subscription fee. How are they close like 50% of revenue?
यार उसका volume बहुत ज़्यादा है. Bikes, see Rapido's bikes and autos, the bike volume is massive in India.
It says FY23, FY24 operating revenue reached 650 crores. So on a
मतलब
run
इस
rate
साल
basis,
roughly 1,000 crore हो जाएगा, which is 40% of Ola's revenue. Plus, I think the economics are also good because they have managed to keep their costs low because they were never highly funded. They were always told no for funding because Uber, Ola were fighting it out, and people are like, yeah, bhai, third place ke liye jagah nahi hai. And this is another hard fact model reality, right? The third guy doesn't even get funding. But they've just really survived and figured out a way to last, and now they are thriving. But roughly assume that 40% the size of Ola, valued already at 1.2 billion. So 2.5 billion le lo, matlab, for a Ola to go public. Would it be so bad? I just think it's important for companies, like, maybe it's technically a down round, but we have seen enough of those companies now, especially because it's profitable. And maybe that's a segue that we should do, Chirag, to, you know, what we were talking about, public markets, what's been happening, what's the internet index looking like. But I think the internet index really needs profitable companies, and Ola Cabs is a very good profitable company, which is number 2, let's say, or number 1. You may argue because Uber is not really number 1 anymore. I think it's very unclear who's number 1. But let's say one of the top 2, if not the top company still in mobility and profitable. Maybe just going public helps.
Yeah. I think for consumer companies, so there is definite advantage in being listed.
वो तो करना ही पड़ेगा ना रेवंत. वैसे तो मतलब they will have to do it. At some point they'll have to bite the bullet and do it because they what $5 billion gone into the company, 4 or 5 billion raised till now.
But Revant, one more related point. I think we are seeing so many companies. We saw MobiQuick, which of course tried many times. There is no pressure on Ola, in terms of getting listed.
I think the largest shareholder is still SoftBank. And I think that's part of the problem. You're right, Shantanu. The company has raised $4.7 billion. So if it goes, like if your enterprise value is lower than the amount of cash that has gone in, does it trigger a anti-dilution and does it give more shareholding to, maybe that's the reason why, and it's a promoter-controlled company. While the shareholding is quite diverse, I think Bhavish has very strong shareholder rights that gives him enough control on where the company's direction as such. So maybe that's the reason why they are
3 billion in Ola Electric, which is where the value is kind of going up and down significantly. So markets are difficult, plus market shares are moving up and down a lot. If you see last 4 quarters EV market shares in two-wheelers, it's quite up and down. Like Bajaj has come in, and then Ola had its own issues with consumer. So that 3-4 billion is kind of volatile. Then this will have to get listed, and then you will need at least a $6-7 billion. I don't know what the IRR math sounds like, but $6-7
No, but I tell you an
billion.
interesting point, right? Ola Electric went IPO at just the last round price. So, and you know this, that when the company goes public, all SHA rights fall off.
Correct.
So now that the stock is valued less than, let's say, the last round price, there's no anti-dilution because it's a publicly listed share. There are no special rights for anyone. So I think the reason could be that, yaar, agar 4-4.5 billion gaye or last round valuation was whatever, $4.5-5 billion, even if you go that, if you list, then you are okay because technically there's no anti-dilution. And then if the share price falls and the market cap drops, like, okay, so be it. That's reality. But I think now it's going to be hard. I don't see the public markets accepting anything more than 3 billion.
Right now it's a bloodbath, yaar. Utne raha kuch bhi. Sent a worst time to
Low call. I think, clearly, what we were discussing the other day, some of these companies have been hammered below listing prices, much below listing prices now. Where Revant and I were discussing one of the e-commerce company which got listed, Unicommerce, got listed at 225, is now at $100.
It's a profitable company, right?
It's a profitable company.
But very small. 100 crore revenue, na? 100 crore revenue, 10-15% profit. 20 crore profit type.
Yeah. So, but of course, the growth is a concern. And when it was getting listed also, it was being said that it's a subscale IPO. Hence, didn't see a lot of subscription also. And now as market has
1,000
given
crore
it a beating.
market cap pe with a free, even if you have a very high free float, even let's say your free float is 50%, right? 500 crore ke free float pe कौन सा म्यूचुअल फंड एक्सपोजर ले पाएगा एंड से कि बस आई हैव 6 नहीं कर पाएगा. सो यहाँ पे तो आई मीन दिस कवरेज इज अ स्ट्रगल. Even a Kotak will not cover you, or even a IIFL will not cover you because they're like, boss, we have so many stocks to cover 1,000 crore market cap. Even a 2-3,000 crore market cap company, we cannot have coverage, right? So institutionalization of your shareholding is not going to happen at that. It's a 1,000 crore market cap, right? Is that a fair? Correct?
It's now a 1,000 crore market cap. Got listed
even listing was
2,400 crores, yeah.
Isn't still, yeah. Honestly, in my view, below 4-5,000 crore market cap, it's very hard to get any institutional excitement. Because like, imagine I have a mutual fund who even if I have a small cap fund, but 1.5 lakh crore ke AUM में small cap fund का 20,000 crore होगा. 20,000 crore के AUM में यार, I can't put 10, 15 crore का position. Na? I need a 40-50 crore position minimum for the fund manager or even a research analyst to spend their time.
Correct, absolutely. I think we discussed, we were not doing asymmetric podcast at that point of time, but he and I were discussing that, why is this happening? What's the need, etc., etc. But good, I think the good positive side is that even NSE is decided to recognize the Indian internet and e-commerce companies by creating a Nifty India Internet and E-commerce Index. So, which is a thematic index to track the performance of companies which are primarily doing business through online platforms, ranging from food delivery, fintech, online retail, digital payments, etc. So it's a another milestone of rise of India digital companies, increase in tech IPOs, growing investor interest. So all of that, I think we were tracking Rainmaker Rain Gauge Index. which prompted us to, I think, in one of the discussions that what's the point of, or can we make it more frequent? This is the index which we created, which is now real time. We are still validating, so things these days with AI are easier to create but difficult to verify. So we have created this. The interesting part is, as we all know, the markets have come down. This is a high beta index. Compare it, to mid cap now to small cap. All of that is possible. We can see relative rise, etc., etc. So this is also ready. I don't know whether we'll need it now because Nifty has introduced their own e-commerce index. Maybe we'll try and add more value to this.
Can you just show
building-
that?
Yeah.
So this is all venture-backed companies that have gone IPO since the last,
this is-
1 year, 2
Yeah.
years?
So since 1st of Feb 2023.
No, Zomato 21, right? So index is from
Not-
there, but companies are
Correct.
yeah, and I don't think Nifty is only saying internet. Like for example, Indigo Paints, which is a paints company, which was Sequoia backed that went IPO, will be part of your index, right? थोड़ा सा अलग होगा फिर.
So we have only taken the companies which were there in the this
Raingauge index.
Raingauge index.
उसमें Indigo Paints भी था. Because what
So-
and that's why I think is a real reflection of the new economy. जो venture capital लेके
Yeah, we have Indigo Paints.
Correct. It's small. ये but I think हल्का सा फर्क होगा फिर. Like AWFIS technically is a real estate provider if you think about it, right? But it was a VC-backed company that just went. So it's a little bit new economy, the new way of doing things versus just saying internet as such. So maybe there'll be a slight difference in the Nifty जो NSE ने जो किया है, which is the internet wala versus maybe what you have done. We anyway keep talking about a little bit about new age businesses and how business in today's day and age, new economy businesses is largely what we talk about. So it would be interesting to keep track of this, and it was amazing to see, like even after the drop, it is still the most value creating index, if you can call it that, over the last 2 years. Is that a fair? I saw in Nifty 50 or Nifty 500 के against भी mid cap से भी तेरा ज़्यादा है, double है.
Yeah.
Do you have a 500? 250 है ना?
We
Put at
will get
250? Nifty small cap 250 because I think that's a fair comparison. 250? Next one, yeah, because a lot of these companies will be small cap, though they have gone public. So I think if you have beaten small cap index by 50%, that's still a phenomenal year. But I'm assuming largely this is held up by Zomato and Policy Bazaar. Would that be a fair year? Weightages क्या है? उसमें दिख जाएगा नीचे. Naukri
Zomato,
and
Naukri, Swiggy, Policy Bazaar.
Policy Bazaar. Yeah, these are basically holding the entire index up in some way or form.
Correct. No, we'll keep adding more things to this one.
इसमें Zomato at the zero x-axis point, January 2023, Zomato was at 55 rupees. Right now it's at 230 rupees.
Yeah.
And it is 26% of this index. So if you net off Zomato, I think this index will look very different.
Yeah, but यार power law है ना इनमें. हम तो बोलते हैं venture back business में power. नहीं, it is यार. You have to believe in power law. Like you can buy this index.
Market cap weighted होता है ना, so it continues to compound on that.
Correct.
नहीं, मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ कि अगर आप इसको 1-2 क्वार्टर पीछे खींच के या फिर 1-2 क्वार्टर आगे खींचे तो numbers would be very different.
Let's see it from 21 or 20 or 18 कर देते हैं ना. उसमें क्या है?
Shantanu, you should comment what kind of view you would like to see. We'll get that created. Treat that as a prompt and try and do it. The guy who created it, Kilby, that now you're trying to create it completely via AI.
Yeah, but Kunal Shah ka is a good segue into your next segment, CT. Kunal Shah ka tweet है ना that people who have been using AI tools for the last few months have now started to resemble God. Your engineering guy is clearly one of them. Oh, बढ़िया, this looks really good.
Clearly, which takes us to the next topic.
Yes.
Around one of the most talked about company in India by one of the most talked around founder. Cred, founded by Kunal Shah in 2018. He was the founder of Recharge, sold it at around $400 million, started this company called Cred to build a trust-based financial ecosystem where responsible credit behavior is rewarded. So that's where they started. They thought that, we're going to build out an ecosystem. Started with this interesting wedge of to pay credit card bills and on rewards. This is way back in 2018. I was at Bombay Shaving Company. I remember dealing with them. They're giving out those grooming kits as rewards. And then, they got that hook, they got the users in. And then from a monetization perspective, they decided that there'll be a lending company. Decided to do a lot of these, personal loans. And now has recently launched a new product called Credit Cash Plus, which is a secured lending product, which is a shift or moving beyond unsecured personal loans. It's an interesting product. Before I get there, from a revenue point of view, they did 2,500 crores of revenue, so that's 66% year-on-year growth. Net loss of close to 1,600 crores. We recently, read in media that they've broken even. So on a trending basis, they've broken even. They were last valued at close to $6.5 billion. They've raised close to $860 billion across 9 rounds. Enjoy all marquee global investors. I think coming back to Credit Cash Plus, I think it's an interesting product. The product is about that, you can put your mutual funds as a security and take a secured personal loan against it. Right? Just for context, this is today at the moment, mutual funds AUM is close to 50 lakh crores. The lending market against that is only around 50,000 crores. So only 1% of that market actually takes loan against those mutual funds. I just checked up, mutual fund AUM is currently 16% of GDP in India. Right? After all the mutual fund Sahi Hai campaign, we've reached 16% of GDP. Just for comparison, in developed countries, this is anywhere between 60 to 100%. Right? So there is clear tailwind from that point of view that mutual fund will continue to grow. Right? So that's there. This has a multiplier effect. What I think is a tailwind in this one is that digital lending as a percentage of retail loans is currently 2.5-3% is expected to become 5%. So that's another tailwind in this one. And I think what also has changed, as per the research I did, is one fundamental thing which has changed is 1 year back, if you had to create or if you had to give your mutual funds as security and take a loan against it, you would have to do a lot of physical work documentation against it, and then only you'll be able to do. Now you can create lien via an API, right? So that has made this possible. Hence, and I think the credit has made it beautiful that they're saying that 1, you are credit worthy. 2, if you're giving mutual fund, this is secured loan, so this should be much higher, much lower price. So they've launched it at 8.99%. It's very interesting product. I was just surprised that, why none of the other companies have solved it, or haven't blown the trumpet like Cred has done. They definitely, are not the first movers. Maybe the product exists. But yeah, that's the product.
Yeah, outstanding. I think I remember a little bit about 2 episodes back, you spoke about platforms and infinite games. तूने book भेजा नहीं है by the way अभी तक को. I'm awaiting that book कि हमें भी सीखना है कि infinite game कैसे कहते हैं. But I think Cred is a quintessential example of how Kunal is playing an infinite game, right? Top 20 million user के साथ. I love the garage product also. Like I hated हर 6 महीने POC figure out करना है. Alert आ जाता है. I know everyone keeps talking about but bill payment is damn easy. Like their hook was the credit card bill payment, but every year they have launched one product that becomes a very integral part of your life, and then it just continues to be sticky. And I know there are a lot of engagements around the jackpots and store and rewards and stuff like that, but those are still engagement. So that's still a little bit of dopamine kick देता रहना चाहिए कि हर time, क्योंकि Indian bill payment is so boring, right? POC लेना is so boring. A vehicle insurance is so boring. But हर product में I see more and more deepening of the relationship with the consumer. And this seems interesting. I'm sure they have figured out with data that a large part of their base has access or is doing a lot of direct mutual funds because they have also taken, they have the financial details of a lot of their users, right? वो access लेके समझ में आ गया है. So then why don't we give X product as well? I mean, I love the product. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the velocity at which they ship products, but the marketing and the aura around every product launch is phenomenal. I think वो उसका आर्ट तो है के पास कि मतलब पूरा ट्विटर भर गया था. Everybody in Bangalore is talking about क्या तेरे पास ये access है क्या. Like even I think they had to reduce that exposure, which was the personal lending, the P2P lending. They had to reduce the exposure. So a big hit with the youth to get 9% on P2P up to I think 10-12 lakh तक का access था. So every product of theirs has a unique insight and an amazing marketing launch. Now, obviously, not everything sticks and becomes a large part of their revenue, and they have faced, like other fintech companies, RBI changes rules, and then they're like, "Arey, chalo yaar, itna banaya tha." Like the rent pay product was quite popular. That I think they had to reduce the exposure to P2P lending. They had to reduce exposure. So I think it's still an amazing platform where they can keep launching these new features, if I can call it that, and deepen their relationship with the customer. So I'm sure this will be and we were looking at the data, right, that I had shared on the group about how the number of mutual fund investors has doubled in the last 4 years. And looks like will continue to increase because, of course, the latest bear market may slow down the number of new investors, but it's a very sizable increase and it's all youth, right? It was so encouraging to see the youth direct investments, and even women participation in the entire mutual fund exposure.
It has increased.
Yeah.
एक बात बताओ मेरे को. I just had a question. Now, if you what kind of lending is this? This is usually personal loans up till 5 lakhs, right? तो आदमी कर क्या रहा है? Mutual fund को lean डाल के is taking a loan and kind of funding what?
This is not a use case, where you have to define. It's not a defined use case lending. You can use it for any kind of personal use case.
But it's not productive usage of that capital, right? Or is it? मैं वही पूछ रहा हूँ.
Actually, that's the interesting part. In my view, what Cred has always done as an optimization, if I look at it, is give you a general corporate, no questions asked loan. It's the most beautiful loan that the youth likes. कि भाई कोई सवाल नहीं, क्योंकि बैंक में जाओगे ना 4 सवाल पूछते हैं वो.
लेकिन इसमें इशू ये है रेवंत कि अगर तुम हर इंसान 3-3, 4-4 लाख का लोन ले रहा है, वो लोन is increasing retail leverage. Then the expectation is that mutual fund में जो the money that you have not exited, that will create that much more alpha for you. But that money that you have used now like locks you into income for much longer, and you save much lesser. So overall impact on economy is good or bad is my question.
No, so first I do understand this, that the security that you have, let's say you have a mutual fund exposure of 1 crore, okay? You will not get 1 crore ka loan because in the end it's a volatile market, right? The markets may tank 50%. So the exposure that you will get, in my view, the limited amount of time that me and Chirag spent on banking, you would not get more than
security cover.
20-25% के ऊपर तुमको नहीं मिलेगा.
ठीक है, relative 20% मिल गया तुमको.
Right? तो you have to, because you have to counter the fact कि भाई market कल 50% drop होगी, तो I can't go and ask शांतनु कि भाई और securitize करे. शांतनु से fuck off, मेरे पास नहीं है और mutual fund, मैं क्या करूँगा क्या? Right? So it's a very high risk loan. So you're asking the right question कि
नहीं, शांतनु ये पूछा जा रहा है कि कंजम्पशन की तरफ जाएगा, दैट्स योर वरी, और यू आर सेइंग कि ये पैसा शायद एसेट क्रिएशन की तरफ जा सकता था, which it is not going, कंजम्पशन की तरफ जा रहा है.
See, if it goes towards consumption is one time. If it goes towards asset creation in some shape or form, कि तुमने गाड़ी ले ली जिससे तुम कुछ काम कर रहे हो या फिर जो like then is that money rotating more? In which case it makes sense to keep. Otherwise, all that pressure of that loan comes on the companies in that mutual fund against which you have taken the loan. Frankly, in terms of value creation, otherwise how will you create value?
इसमें एक सिंपल क्वेश्चन तेरे को ये पूछता है कि जिसका 1 करोड़ का म्यूचुअल फंड का एक्सपोजर है, म्यूचुअल फंड विच इज लिक्विड, यू कैन ऑलवेज सेल ऑन 1 डे नोटिस. व्हाई वुड यू टेक अ 20 lakh loan against it? Or for example, 20 lakh का loan mutual fund exposure है, why would you take a 4 lakh rupee loan against it if credit is giving it? That is the right question to ask. कौन लेगा ये?
भाई इट्स वैसे हाँ, और इट्स अप्रिशिएट यार. रेवन, वी हैड द सेम क्वेश्चन ऑन कि पर्सनल लोन somebody who is 750 plus कौन लेगा?
Correct.
And then there is a company which we're talking about is doing 2,500 crores of revenue.
I don't
primarily based that. So
correct, but it's an interesting question to still ask कि ये कौन है जो सोच रहा है कि मेरे पास 20-25 लाख के म्यूचुअल फंड में एक्सपोजर है, बट आई विल टेक अ 4 लाख रुपी लोन एंड पे 9% ऑन इट एवरी ईयर.
साइकोलॉजिकली
शांतनु.
म्यूचुअल फंड तोड़ना नहीं है.
हाँ, तोड़ना नहीं है और अप्रिशिएटिंग एसेट और 9% पे मिल रहा है.
रिस्क टेकिंग एबिलिटी बहुत हाई है इसकी. एबिलिटी नहीं, एबिलिटी भी है और साइकोलॉजी की उसको लगता है कि
इल्यूजन ऑफ एबिलिटी.
करेक्ट. लाइक थोड़े ना ये गेमर लोग हैं शांतनु, उनको लगता है कि भाई मैं लोन ले लूंगा 9% का, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि मैं 15-20% मार्केट पे बना लूंगा, तो मैं 20% की.
आज लग रहा है इनको.
इनफैक्ट आज तो और ज्यादा लग रहा है कि भाई अब तो मार्केट गिर गई, तो why don't I take a loan and leverage myself? Like, why do people put money in IPO after leveraging? Because they're like, bhai, market. Like, I know people who took a loan to buy Swiggy stock in the private markets because they're like, bhai, 6 महीने में killing हो जाएगा ये तो. There are the risk-taking ability in the youth today. See, we are getting older, Shantanu. Today's 24-year-old has massive risk-taking ability. वो बोल रहे हैं भाई खेलते हैं ना करके, क्या प्रॉब्लम है?
चिराग asking right question. Ability है, illusion है, पता नहीं रहेगा. और delusion.
Shantanu should come up with a good word. The side of
Interesting.
Are you saying, Revant, कि अगर हम एक ये स्टडी करें कि let's say people who have done app and people who have taken loan from, let's say, unsecured loan will have a high overlap?
नहीं, मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. मैं सिर्फ ये बोल रहा हूँ कि if you believe that you will get traction on a product where the wealthiest people who have, like, if you have 10 lakhs also in a mutual fund, you are the wealthiest in the country. You're in the top 1% of the country, right? वो 9% पे लोन लेंगे because it's a no questions asked personal loan technically शांत. Personal loan बैंक तेरे को SBI तेरे को नहीं देगी 9% पे.
And by the way, Shantanu, एक और चीज, I think we undervalue how much people can pay for convenience.
Yes.
You know, we saw it in quick commerce also.
That is
Here
true.
also, it's a 90-second loan.
Yeah.
You know, so unlike going to a branch or going to an office and standing in queue and 4 days later somebody will give you queries, etc. It's a 90-second transfer to your account. So there is so much of these products which get driven by this convenience which is there. That, you know, at least top of the mind तो पक्का रहता है कि यार कभी मुझे जरूरत होगी ना तो I know कि यार एक बटन दबाएंगे आ जाएगा. I think वो भी ड्राइव करता है.
It's a good rate also, no? Most banks right now are giving you loan against mutual funds, like loan against security. तेरे को तो याद होगा ना चिराग, LAS was a product that every bank has, loan against security. Now, but the problem is the rate of interest is between 10.5% to 11.5% today. If somebody is offering at 9%, apart from convenience, it's a great rate, yeah? It's industry beating rate right now. So how they are offering it, उनका cost of funds कम कैसे है? That's a more interesting question to ask. कि how can cred make a spread? But in the end, what is lending? Lending is you have a cost of funds and then you are lending and you are trying to make a net interest margin, right? Now, how, if a bank has a net interest margin of 3.5-4%, and this is after NPAs, accounting provisioning for NPAs, how is cred affording to give a loan at 9%? This is technically a personal loan. And it's while it's securitized, it's one of the riskiest form of securitized loans, by the way. In the entire scheme of securitized loans, loan against securities is the very high risk loan because the volatility exists in the security value. आपका कवर ज्यादा कम हो जाता है ना, बहुत volatile है. Whereas home loan,
हाँ, volatile थी, but इसमें recovery is not unquestioned. अगर तुमने 25 लाख का exposure पे तुमने 5 लाख का लोन दिया है, how much of it is securitized? Only 5 lakhs, right? Or something larger than that?
No. So it is securitized, yes, and there is a cover that अगर 50% से drop हो गया, like that's what it used to happen in banking. I have not seen the details of how credit is doing it, but we used to have a very clear, and we used to do corporate lending to companies where we would say अगर 50% से नीचे आएगा cover और you don't give additional shares as guarantee, we can sell it in the market. Kingfisher got sold that way, no? A lot of Kingfisher
Sell it in the market or top up?
Yeah, or top up or we sell it. I don't know how they are going to do it or what are the details. 90 second में loan दे रहे तो क्या account aggregator से linked है क्या चिरा? What is the... Basically, they are taking a very little exposure there. Because you will not top up, na? You are not giving, unless you're giving a NASH to say कि भाई और shares आपके नाम हो जाएगा. I don't think. That's
And now cred, how does cred build the lending book? Do they borrow or do they raise? Or do they do a combination of both?
Both. They have their own NBFC also. One arm's length distance where Kunal Chha is a shareholder. And through Aditya Birla and some of the other lending companies as well.
But yeah, cost of funds कैसे होगा यार 9% में लोन देने के लिए? massively low cost of funds. Okay?
ये सिटी का वही तो गेम है. मार्जिन डजंट मैटर. रेवंत वो 0.1% पे खेलेंगे होगा.
Platforms don't play the high margin game ना. फिर वो नहीं तो सब्सक्रिप्शन आया था बीच में.
इन्फिनिटेसिमल मार्जिन इन्फिनिट गेम. ये है इसका. IMIG. That's that. I'm assuming that's because the numbers CT said in the beginning. If mutual fund as a percentage of GDP, if that goes up, then the ability to lend also goes up tremendously. And if this is still those 20 million customers only, you'll keep getting it back. I'm assuming their NPA percentage will much lesser. उनका NPS बहुत सही होगा इस पे. Just given the starting point of the platform.
This is like a pseudo credit card. Revolving line है. चलता है.
Correct.
Maybe
Smart.
this was it. Everyone was used to question it कि when is Cred going to launch their own credit card? उन्होंने ऐसे launch कर दिया.
This is a credit card. There's no card. It's just credit.
Beautiful,
Again,
ना? Change the game. Card चाहिए नहीं. बस पैसा.
Interesting. What's happening otherwise on the match front? Oh no, looks like New Zealand is going to make it to the finals.
Repeat.
It's 193 for 5. So South Africa has been kicked out, I think. They need 170 runs in 15 overs.
वो तो मुश्किल है. What is the
Will Klaasen
probability
out?
New Zealand beats us in the final?
चांस ही नहीं है यार. मैं बताऊँ एक चीज. I was in the stadium for India New Zealand. मतलब it was quite embarrassing frankly how partisan ICC also is यार. वहाँ पे एक डीजे बैठा रखा है जो बॉलीवुड गाने बजा रहा है इंडिया के यार हर ओवर के बीच में.
अरे दुबई में नहीं, पाकिस्तान में भी वही बज रहे हैं.
अरे बट इट इज एन ICC. लाइक इफ यू आर चीयरिंग फॉर इंडिया एटलीस्ट चीयर फॉर न्यूजीलैंड थोड़ा तो कर लो यार. अगर विकेट गिर रही है तो बॉलर के बारे में कुछ बोलो. वो डीजे सिर्फ इंडिया की बढ़ाई कर रहा है. एंड जब इंडिया है तो गुड मोमेंट वो पूरे क्राउड को ये कर रहा है. द मोमेंट न्यूजीलैंड है तो गुड मोमेंट क्राउड इज शांत. डीजे तो शांत. ICC tournament.
We are, Shantanu, we are okay with it. We saw the same in Australia, but we went and sat at MCG and we were getting booed. So we are okay with it.
But नहीं, ये सही कि it's okay if it's a bilateral series in India where we give that treatment to the visiting side. But his view is that neutral ICC tournament, at least that should be, which I agree.
Yeah. It's a neutral ICC tournament यार. It's a neutral
यार वो
venue.
तो agree है कि मतलब it looks like
Crowd
that
भी India है
Indian
तो
cricket, International Cricket Council है, India Cricket Council है.
हाँ तो I don't mind if the crowd is all blue and all that. तुमने खुद वहाँ पे डीजे बैठा रखा है. वो हिंदी में बोल रहा है. वो
यार वो बोल रहे हैं क्राउड एंटरटेनमेंट भी तो करना है. 90% लोग इंडियन आए, मैं न्यूजीलैंड में गाना बजा दूं.
वो न्यूजीलैंड के नेशनल एंथम में तो आधे लोग नीचे बैठ गए. फिर उनको उठाना पड़ा कि यार दूसरे टीम का एंथम बजे तो वो भी खड़े तो रहो. जनगण मन में खड़े रहे, उसके एंथम में बैठ गए.
हमारे इंडिया वालों को लग रहा है कोई कैलिप्सो आने लग गया बीच में.
क्या यार टोटली
बट हाउ वाज द एक्सपीरियंस अदरवाइज?
यार बहुत बढ़िया. आई सॉ अ गेम एट
So let's say you हाँ correct, I was coming. How was compared that experience?
यार बहुत पास लगता है दुबई में यार. बहुत. द ग्राउंड इज राइट.
You are saying from Delhi पास लगता है या वहां जाके पास लगता है?
नहीं यार वहां जाके यू फील लाइक यू आर अ पार्ट ऑफ द ग्राउंड.
No, I have heard this that from people that मैं दुबई में जल्दी मीटिंग करके आ जाता हूँ as compared to let's say from Whitefield to Indira Nagar.
Also like बहुत ही सही यार. Like I saw Coldplay also in Abu Dhabi. दुबई में this match. I just think these guys. और हमको हमेशा लगता है ना इंडिया में कि बस population is a problem. 1.5 लाख लोग इजीली मैनेज हो जाते हैं वहाँ पे. So many volunteers, ability to organize it. No traffic jam. मतलब थोड़ा बहुत होगा but no jam, no chaos. There are easily shuttles, etc. Like we have to really, as India, we have to learn how to organize large events and figure out tourism because I think उधर ही massive unlock होगा अपने GDP का. And every time I go to Dubai and now I feel कि यार those guys have nailed tourism.
चंद्र कहाँ से ज्ञान ले रहा है आजकल तो.
Yeah, I'm reading a book actually slightly morbid नहीं बोलूँगा उसको. It's a book about death by a doctor called Paul Kalanithi. The book is called When Breath Becomes Air. So the premise is basically, and I'm like kind of 30-40% through the book right now. So it's a neurosurgeon who gets diagnosed with cancer, and it's his life and his reflections in his final days. So 36-37-year-old young guy, but a phenomenally well-renowned doctor who's who actually studied English literature in his undergrad. So his ability to write, etc., is also beautiful. So, बहुत ही the one sentence I remember is he says is, and it applies possibly to entrepreneurship also. He uses it in the context of medicine. He said, never do medicine as a job. Do it only if it is your calling. And the distinction between a job and a calling became very, very clear. And I felt entrepreneurship is also something similar. You never do it as a job. You should do it if it's a purpose and a calling. So that's the one book. The other one I read was The Money Trap by Alok Sama. Finally finished it. Kya kitab hai yaar. Kya kitab hai yaar. That guy's ability to go between profound insight and humor and crazy experiences is just off the charts. I think Chetan Bhagat is one of the top. I know many people like to hate on him, but I think he's made India read en masse. So I respect him a lot. If his ability to tell a story, let's say 7 or 8 on 10, I would put Alok Sama 1 or 2 more, like above him. Yeah. Maybe because the topic is also very interesting and relevant to me. But you guys both will absolutely love it. You will.
I read the book.
I haven't
I read the book.
I have it,
Yeah.
but I haven't read.
What did you say? Did you read the book? I loved it, yaar.
I got a little. I think it was jumpy. What you liked exactly, I found a little jumpy. Like either tell me a story of anecdotes, or give me logic, or entertain me. So मुझे लगा तेरे को जो तीनों चीज अच्छी लगी ना, मेरे को थोड़ा सा वो disjointed लगा, because some places I'm like, oh wow, this is how venture capital works, and then some places I'm like, is he respecting Masa or is he disrespecting and making fun of him? I'm not clear. Then in some places it's like conspiracy. Like it was a little too. I know it was his life, and it was a roller coaster, and he said it as is in those many words. कि यार ये roller coaster था. But for me the takeaway was not very clear, and maybe I look for when I read people who have been through some profound experiences, I look for learnings, and I couldn't find any except one learning, which is actually in a way a truth learning, कि take life as it is and just live it king size. जो होगा तुम्हारे कंट्रोल में कुछ नहीं है, right? Like तुम्हें लग रहा है कि तुम कुछ बहुत बड़ा काम कर रहे हो, but actually everybody is randomly, it's like poker technically is a game of skill, but अगला पत्ता क्या खुलेगा उसमें probabilities तो खेल ही रहे हो तुम, और there is enough luck in that as well. So it was a good book, but I didn't find it कि कुछ मैं, and maybe I'm too much, I put too much value on कि यार मेरे को कुछ profound सिखाओ करके, वरना वो largely the books, like I'll give you, there is a book I'm reading right now, which it's called A Brief History of Intelligence. With, I mean, broadly it's a guy called Max Bennett. Thoda heavy and I'm going slow, but essentially, yaar, if you're thinking of how the AI is going to change the world, how does the human mind think, and how the brain has evolved, and you know, some of those things you enjoy learning, and a lot of it is history, a lot of it is understanding the human mind, a lot of it improves your thought around how to think about the future, right? Maybe I'm a little over-indexed on books like these nowadays, broadly categorized as self-help. And yeah, I think it was good entertainment. But like when someone like Masa has deployed 100 billion in 4 years, you're like, yeah, कुछ तो सीखेंगे इससे. But I was like, कि भाई ये तो पंटर ऐप भी है. मन किया ये लो 10 billion. And Alok has said in so many words.
Yeah.
He's some, you know, even today, what is he doing? You know, sitting with Sam Altman and saying 40 billion ले लो. मतलब भाई, अभी तुम, just because you got lucky once or twice. I know he likes to live life king size and do it, but no correlation to us. Now, we can't live life that way.
But you know what I found fascinating about, he explains WeWork.
Yeah.
And what is fascinating to me is Masa put 11 billion all over a period of time and all. But at one point, Adam Newman asked for $70 billion. He asked Masa, and Masa had agreed to put 20 billion in WeWork right before COVID.
Actually, maybe I'm too brutal, but for the amount of pedigree of these bankers who worked with Masa, who couldn't tell sense to it, why were they there? I actually think it was so bad that such intelligent, pedigreed people who could do all the Excel analysis, and he talks about that in the book, that this investment made no sense, have the balls to fucking go up and say, na,
Yeah.
क्यों कर रहे हो करके, and walk out. But
बोला
all
ना
of these
उसने।
guys, but
उसने
no,
किया
but
ना
here,
one-on- very softly read ना one-on-one जाके intervention जो किया उसने.
पैसा इतना मिला है ना इनको, they were not paid to debate honestly,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I don't think any one of them was paid to debate because he
Another
talks
thing
about the
that-
lifestyle, right? Crazy lifestyle that everyone had and the amount of money that they got paid. So, I mean, for me, that was a little कि यार, ठीक है, now you're being honest about it कि हाँ बहुत पैसे मिले, but ठीक है, you're a honest guy, but for me at least there was no learning in that.
I also like found it interesting. Like Nikesh, when he joined SoftBank, put 500 million into the fund personally as an employee of SoftBank. He very nonchalantly mentions this in the book. It
But
blew my mind.
I don't think it was cash. Basically, what a lot of people do is, let's say I am running a fund and I'll say that my contribution to this fund is 10% of the fund. Okay, let's say it's $1 billion fund, so I have to contribute 100 million. But 20% is management fee. So I will say कि management fee से मेरे को तनख्वाह मिलने वाली है, तो set off कर दो. There is a management fee in a fund, right? So
Yeah.
Nikesh would have said that I want a salary. I don't know. I'm just telling you, it may not all have been cash. It is principally correct. He did contribute 500 million, but how much of it was actual cash versus how much if it was deferred salary not taken and said this is my contribution is a very fair argument to make. It is principally
But
correct.
how much of $500 million, Revant? How much of $500 million will be deferred salary not taken?
Could also be, could be as much as 50-60%.
फिर भी 250 million डाला है ना?
Could have been 100% also for all I know. I'm just saying, like, unfortunately, there's too much knowledge. I mean, there's too much not said in the book, which doesn't have, it's all half information. And maybe he put up all cash. I'm being too harsh on some.
You should ask him this in the podcast.
I mean, we can, but then it'll have to be off camera still.
नहीं पूछेंगे उसमें क्या है? किताब लिखी है आदमी ने. Now he has to be ready for questions.
मैं तो, you know me, right? I तो don't shy away from asking these questions. But नहीं यार, बोलना है तो पूरा बोलो ना यार. आधा आधा क्यों बोल रहे हो? मतलब मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि किताब लिखी रहो. Then otherwise you're just selling a story. तो मैं तो पूछ लूं. Because थोड़ा unlikely है.
मेरे को वो smear campaign और all, I did not find that leading to a decent conclusion. मेरे को लगा people started
वो
with
छोड़
that.
दिया.
वो तो
वो भी छोड़ दिया ना.
It just felt like a little bit of a whimper. Underwhelming ending था उसका. But I love
I think
the way
they know
it
the
was.
answer, but he doesn't want to talk about it, or maybe there are too many powerful people that he will have to expose if they go down that direction. So, yeah, very problem है, पता है? Like, when there is too much money involved now, like, there are too many vested interests. So for me, like, there was too much undercurrent of this insanely rich people. Like, it was a little unnecessary to talk about the French Riviera में हम all night party कर रहे थे with some models. And like, ठीक है यार, तुम अमीर लोग हो. Right? मतलब, I don't get this
But the
trying
name of
to
the book
rub
is-
it in the face कि it was a little, yeah. It's a
the
little.
The book is called The Money Trap. Na? That's the whole premise of the book
Yeah.
is it's all about money.
But it's not that in the end is any humble. Just to be very clear. Like, when you call it a money trap, you expect the ending to be a little humble. I don't think there's any humility in the... Yeah. It's a good entertainer, but at least I didn't find कि there was some profound knowledge that was gained and said कि अच्छा life में अब ये नहीं करना है. Like, the trap part of it is still unclear to me. From all I know, everyone made money, right? Except the Saudis, technically, who will technically get a 1x back. Everybody made money. That was actually the ended trap. Whole part.
That's so true. Interesting. CT क्या पढ़ रहे हो? What are you reading?
Not reading books here, no, not enough time. Just reading these articles only. Andrew Chen has posted today, this interesting thing of potential impact of AI on countries like economies like India, Philippines, etc. Especially on BPO, automation, outsourced IT, etc. So he's written a very long piece today only, or maybe yesterday late night. He posted on Twitter a long thread. So going through that, it has some interesting impacts on, some of the things which we discussed in our Bloom Indus Valley episode as well. Employment impact, GDP contribution, mid-class disruption, all of that. I think I was looking at more positive. So AI-led global services is an opportunity. I think B2B SaaS products for the world, especially, looking at how we can leverage English-speaking, skilled workforce, etc., etc. Interestingly, building brands from India for the world, that also is being cited as one of the opportunities. So it's a long read. It's a long thread going on.
I do think I would love to tickle your brain, maybe not today, but on for both of you, I would love to tickle your brains on the huge social impact potentially. And I think Andrew Sen also wrote about it, and one or two more people wrote about it on the impact of people above the age of 40, 45 losing their jobs to AI and in general in these economies. China में तो बहुत ही huge issue हो गया है, बहुत ही huge.
Yeah, it's quite real. I'll tell you, I have been trying to do this. We have been writing, let's say, product requirement docs. And I'm not the one who writes it, but for a change in between, I do. And now, if you go good inputs, the kind of, outputs you are starting to get, they are not mathematically accurate, but at least directionally, it's becoming started to become very, very good. Right. So example being, I created one running schedule for myself and gave all the inputs that my age, I have not ran for 20 years. This is what I want to achieve. This is, let's say, my whole, visceral fat index of the body, whole body composition. And it gave me a very good, I would have paid for that plan. I would have paid, said ki yaar 20,000 rupees le lo, but bahut acha plan banaya. It looked logical. I don't know whether it is, and sometimes also, I wouldn't say that, that's why I'm saying it's not accurate. Sometimes it makes you feel that this is good. So there is this verifier, my sense is, the world is moving towards, there is this, opportunity which is getting created, ki the need for verifiers are going to increase. Right? QC करा दो, ये जो AI ने दिया है ना, वो verify कर लो. So I think what humans were, let's say, in coding, I was told today by one of my senior guys today that what was taking, let's say, 3 months to build out a module, a large module. At least the coding part is getting done in two days now. And then, verification is taking like 5-6 days. So the QC part in terms of, okay, everything is done right or not. And that's where humans are involved.
Testing basically.
So this is real. The need for, and you imagine what you're saying that at the age of, let's say, and more, you look at in any large organization, most of the people are doing repetitive, and we also make it like that. When we are designing KPIs, aren't we also trying to make the repetitive काम इसको दे दो, so that at least there is efficiency? अब वो सारा repetitive काम AI बोल रहा है मैं कर देता हूँ यार.
Absolutely.